heroes involved in this story that we do want to tell you about this morning, because there were two guys who work for Con Edison, which is the electric company here in New York, and they witnessed this happen. They witnessed him killing the two officers in their car working overtime, and they chase him down the street, and they say that the suspect turns around and holds the gun in front of them and says, "You want some of this?" They backed up a little bit. They watched the suspect run underground to go catch the G train in Brooklyn, and that's when they called the police. Police officers storm in, they go underground, and that's when the suspect turned the gun on himself. But if it weren't for these two men that work for Con Ed, or women, I'm not sure what their sexes are, but if it weren't for these two individuals, that suspect might have gotten on the G train, come somewhere into New York City or wherever the train was going, and killed other officers, or no telling what could have happened. So these guys are heroes this morning, and we thank them.
So impressive. And you noted we're not sure their sex or their names because they haven't identified themselves publicly. That is the feeling right now in New York. There's a lot of fear. Again, these murders took place completely out of the blue within a context of a lot of political agitation and tension. But these two police officers did nothing wrong other than wear a police uniform. That's why they were murdered.
And one
yesterday.
of them, the one on the left, Officer Liu, only been married for 2 months. Ramos on the right, heavily involved in his church, we're told, has 2 children and leaves a wife behind as well.
And if you read you saw the Facebook message that his son wrote, 13-year-old son. It's just tragic. Tucker was reading it as you were reading it earlier this morning. I got choked up.
Saying you've been the best dad. You've been with me every day of my life.
Yeah, to say goodbye now to my father. He wrote that on Facebook. And he said, I know that cops have been getting picked on and picked on, but he's a great guy, and please thank your police officers this morning. Unbelievable. And
he reminds us, the son does, these are the officers, Dad, that we call on when we are in need, when we need help.
Boy, it's hard not to get emotional. You want to keep to the facts. You don't want to start speculating about why this happened or casting blame unfairly. Again, we know who pulled the trigger. He is ultimately responsible. But it's such an emotional thing. It's so wrong, immoral, unfair, that it's almost hard not to point at some of the people who've been whipping up race hatred in this country for the past couple of months and say, they do bear some responsibility for this. That's how I feel anyway.
It's hard because it's hard, living in New York City, but also being an American. All of you there that are watching that don't live in this city, it's so disheartening because our forefathers worked so hard for this country. My own grandfathers were in World War II trying to fight for our freedom, and we love this country, and we hate to see what's going on here. And we're a few days away from Christmas, and when you read these stories and you know that there are individuals chanting as they're protesting to go out and kill cops, it is so disheartening.
Well, when the president gets up, President of the United States, who's a very smart guy who chooses his words carefully and basically says the problem is police. There are bad cops. I get it. I've met them. But there are also really bad neighborhoods. And the president never mentioned that. Right. It was only about the cops. So it's distressing.
We asked the